Welcome to Binge Guide the Next Show.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Andrew, and we are here to dive into a new movie you might be interested in.
You know, if you're one of those people that's always looking for the next thing to watch.
Exactly.
That next great thing.
And especially for folks who like queer rom-coms.
Yes. With a little bit of cultural depth.
With a little cultural substance.
Yeah.
This is The Wedding Banquet.
This one's for you.
Yes. Now, this is a remake of a 1993 film.
Yes, it is.
But it has a pretty impressive cast.
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, so Lily Gladstone.
Yes.
Kelly Marie Tran.
Love her.
Bowen Yang.
Amazing.
Han Gi-chan, Joan Chen, and Youn Yuh-jung.
Stacked cast.
So it's a pretty amazing lineup.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today is really just kind of go into the plot, the themes, and what makes this remake interesting.
Yes.
So this movie is really about two pairs of friends who are facing some pretty big challenges.
Right. Yeah. We've got Lee and Angela, and then Min and Chris.
So Lee is played by Lily Gladstone.
Yes.
And Angela is played by Kelly Marie Tran. They are a lesbian couple. They really want to have a family, but IVF is really expensive.
It is. It's a huge barrier for a lot of people.
So that is their challenge. On the flip side, we have Min, who's played by Han Gi-chan.
Yes.
His challenge is his student visa is about to run out.
Oh.
And he also has not come out to his family.
Oh, wow.
Who we learn are very wealthy.
Okay.
Back in Korea. And they're very traditional. So it's heavily implied that if he came out, he would no longer have their financial support.
That's a lot of pressure.
And Chris, his boyfriend, is played by Bowen Yang.
Okay.
So now these challenges become intertwined. How do they do that?
Well, Min actually comes up with an idea.
Okay.
He proposes to Angela a marriage of convenience.
Oh, okay.
A green card marriage.
A green card marriage?
Exactly. So that he can stay in the country and they can use his family's money to pay for the IVF.
That seems very straightforward and simple, right?
On paper, yeah.
Like, what could possibly go wrong?
This is like a win-win, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, not quite. Enter Min's grandmother.
Uh-oh.
Unexpectedly from Korea.
Okay, so wait. So they're just going to go down to the courthouse, get married real quick, and that's it.
That was the plan.
That was the plan.
Until Grandma shows up.
And the grandmother is played by...
The incredible Youn Yuh-jung.
Youn Yuh-jung.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, you know, she's got very traditional ideas about what a wedding should be.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that already.
So it sets up this really interesting clash, right? You've got these couples trying to live their modern queer lives with this pragmatic marriage arrangement.
Right.
And then you have this traditional Korean grandmother who's expecting a huge wedding banquet.
So this sounds like it's ripe with comedic potential.
Oh, absolutely.
But also, there are some deeper cultural explorations there.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper into these couples individually and the obstacles that they face. We kind of talked about Lee and Angela. They want to build a family, but the cost is very prohibitive.
Yes, and it sounds like Angela in particular has a really interesting emotional arc.
Okay.
Based on what I've read, it seems like Kelly Marie Tran plays her as someone who's kind of simmering, you know, someone who holds their emotions in a lot.
Right.
So I think there's this really interesting tension between her wanting to have this family,
Yeah.
but maybe not being great at expressing what she's going through.
Okay, interesting. What about Chris and Min?
So it sounds like Chris is a bit commitment phobic,
Oh, okay.
which, you know, is kind of a classic rom-com trope, but it creates some really interesting tension with Min.
Right.
Because Min, despite all this pressure from his family, seems to be looking for something serious.
Right.
In fact, there's even a suggestion that he might have been thinking about proposing to Chris before this whole green card marriage idea came up.
Okay, so it seems like Min is a very talented artist.
Yes, he is.
But he's really afraid of his family finding out who he is.
Exactly.
And how that would affect his life.
And his art.
And his art, right. So all this was going to be avoided with a quickie marriage.
That was the plan.
But then the grandmother arrives.
Exactly. Throws everything into chaos.
So now we have to have a traditional Korean wedding.
A wedding banquet.
A wedding banquet. And this is where a lot of the comedy comes from.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just imagine, they have to completely de-queer the house before the grandmother gets there.
Like, what does that even look like?
Right. It's hilarious. They're hiding books by Tegan and Sarah Elliott Page.
Oh, okay.
They've got the L Word DVDs stashed away.
Right, right.
They're taking down Lilith Fair posters.
They are really going all out.
It's like this frantic, hilarious makeover to make their lives seem completely straight.
Yeah, and I can imagine Youn Yuh-jung as the grandmother is just fantastic.
She's getting rave reviews. Apparently, she's just brilliant.
Yeah.
She manages to balance that traditional expectation with a growing sense of empathy as she gets to know her grandson and his friends. So it's not just comedic relief. It seems like she also goes on her own journey of understanding and acceptance.
Which leads us right into the themes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It sounds like one of the big ones is navigating cultural traditions and how that intersects with modern queer identity.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they moved the setting from the original film, which was in New York,
Okay.
to Seattle for this remake.
And why do you think they did that?
Well, some critics have suggested that it allows them to explore those tensions in a more modern, nuanced way.
Okay.
You know, it's not just about being gay, it's about how that intersects with specific cultural expectations, family dynamics in today's world.
Right.
It adds another layer of complexity.
Okay, so another theme is found family, right?
Yeah, it seems like Lee, Angela, Chris, and Min have created this really strong support network for each other, their own little family within the queer community.
Yeah.
And that becomes even more important as they're dealing with this whole crazy situation.
So there's also this theme of familial pressure.
Yeah, they come through really strongly, especially within a specific cultural context.
Right.
And the courage it takes to be your true self, even when you're facing those pressures.
I saw one review call the movie an ode to queer love.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So at its heart, it really is a celebration of these relationships.
In all their different forms.
Right. Now, the cast is really the standout here.
Oh, they're amazing.
All the early reviews are just praising the performances. Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah.
Really getting a lot of attention for her portrayal of Angela.
I can see why.
Yeah. And she's got that simmering emotion that she doesn't really express very well.
Right.
And a lot of people are calling it her best performance yet.
Oh, wow.
Bowen Yang, as always, is hilarious.
Yeah, what's he doing this time?
Really good physical comedy.
Okay.
Particularly around his fear of commitment.
Yeah, makes sense.
They mentioned a recurring gag about him trying to get dressed.
Oh, that's great.
And Han Gi-chan, who plays Min, also getting a lot of praise for his comedic timing.
Oh, interesting. I thought he was known for his dramatic work.
He is, but in this, apparently he just shines.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and Lily Gladstone as Lee, just this kind of radiance and understatement to her performance. It makes her super relatable.
Absolutely.
And Joan Chen plays Angela's mother, May.
Okay.
She's a really fascinating character. Outwardly, she's very supportive of the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay.
She even won awards for her activism.
Wow.
But privately, she seems to have some issues with Angela's life.
Interesting.
And it leads to some moments that are really funny, but also kind of sad.
I see.
So the fact that Angela is now marrying a man,
Right.
even though it's for a green card, is just really funny to watch.
I bet.
Youn Yuh-jung as the grandmother is also getting a lot of praise, you know, balancing the tradition with this warmth and understanding.
Yeah.
And her interactions with Joan Chen, those two matriarchal figures, is apparently just a lot of fun to watch.
So all the characters get their moments to shine.
Yeah, it's not just all about the wedding. There's a lot going on with the characters.
Okay, so the movie premiered at Sundance, right?
Sundance 2025, yes.
And how was it received?
Very positive.
Okay, good.
High ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, great scores on Metacritic. Everyone seems to love it.
That's great to hear.
It was even chosen to open the BFI Flair Film Festival in London.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
That is. What do they say about it?
Grace Barber Plenty.
Yep.
She's the programmer.
Yeah.
She called it a big ticket title.
Okay.
And said it was a sign of the festival's continued mainstream appeal.
So it's a big deal for queer cinema.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, the director, Andrew Ahn,
Yes.
he also did Fire Island.
Oh, I loved that movie.
So you can kind of see that connection there.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to make a good rom-com.
And he actually co-wrote this with James Schamus.
Oh, wow.
Who co-wrote the original Wedding Banquet.
Okay.
So they're really trying to stay true to the spirit of the original.
I like that.
And Andrew Ahn has said that he wanted to tell a story that's really reflective of the community as he sees it today.
Makes sense.
And he's also talked about how weddings, even fake ones, can really change relationships.
So are you saying that this fake wedding could lead to some real growth for these characters?
I can't say, I don't want to spoil anything,
Fair enough.
but it's something to think about.
I like it.
Now, if you're interested in seeing The Wedding Banquet, it comes out in the U.S. on April 18th,
Okay, mark your calendars.
2025.
2025.
And it premiered in the U.K. at BFI Flare,
Yes.
but the wide release date hasn't been announced yet.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. So all in all, The Wedding Banquet sounds like a really funny, really heartfelt remake. It's dealing with some important issues around cultural identity, finding love, and building families.
Yeah, and it sounds like they managed to balance the humor with the deeper themes really well.
And with this incredible cast, I think this is a film that you're going to want to check out.
I agree. So by now, you should have a good sense of what this film is about and why it might be worth adding to your watch list.
Absolutely. And as always, we like to leave you with something to think about.
Okay, get me.
So, considering all the challenges that these characters are facing in balancing their cultural backgrounds with their personal identities, how do you think the concept of chosen family plays into this in today's society?
Ooh, that is a good one.
So that is our deep dive into The Wedding Banquet.
That was fun.
I'm Andrew,
I'm Victoria.
and we'll catch you next time on Binge Guide, the next show.
Bye, everyone.